Hey everyone, welcome to ZuluNet. We've got a tactical overview of the last game. It is Spacewolves versus Eldar. That is a 2,000 point battle, and we played Cloaks and Shadows from the basic rulebook. And basically, the mission, it's pretty simple. Your basic tactical objectives mission where you draw up to 3 tactical objectives, and then that can, it's randomized, so it'll be like, hey, secure this one, or go do this, or kill this thing. And you're operating off 3 of them. When you complete one, you draw another tactical objective, and then whenever and then you get a chance to discard one at the end of your turn. And then in Cloaks and Shadows, we don't know what what our opponent's objectives are, and then also any shooting over 18 inches adds +1 to the hit roll, or it makes it 1 harder to hit. So getting into the game, again, if you're new to the tactical overview, this is going to be a in-depth analysis into what happened in the game, kind of the strategy. We're going to try to remember the strategies that we use, why we use them. We're going to go into our list, the philosophy behind our list, what we were thinking, and all of that. And hopefully this will be an educational experience, and we'll all get better at 40K from this. All right, so I've got with me today Andrew.
Hi.
Yeah, he played Eldar, and we will go ahead and we'll get into the deployments and kind of talk about that a little bit. All right, so here we've got the deployment, and like I said, we're playing Cloaks and Shadows. So we have tactical objectives. There's one here. There's one here, and one over here. All right, Andrew, would you go ahead and kind of break down what you brought in this list and kind of your philosophy behind it, why you built this list, and what you're kind of trying to get out of it?
All right. Well, this is kind of a variant on the standard Eldar lists that I play. I've been playing Eldar for quite a while, and I kind of base most of my list theme off of old school. Like in 3rd edition 40K, there was a force called a Craftworld called Samhan, which the whole idea behind those kind of armies was nothing touched the ground. Everything was either in a jet bike or in a transport, or I allow infiltrate, but
Right.
basically nothing that can't move itself and keep up with at least the reasonably fast elements of the list.
Right.
I guess we'll start on the left. I've got an air wing with 3 Crimson Hunter Exarchs. They're all pretty much identical. They're something that's been in my list since the Crimson Hunter first came out in 6th edition. I've had them that long, and they are, in my opinion, the best anti-tank unit in the Eldar army because of their speed and their maneuverability, and especially in this edition, they're just an absolute pain in the ass to kill.
Yeah, you definitely took sizable chunks from my army with those things flying around. That's for sure.
All right, and then what I did a little differently for this list is I put a Wraith Knight in, and people who've been playing for a long time will have bad memories of those things from 7th edition. They were pretty broken then. I'll agree with that, but I think in 8th edition GW kind of overcompensated for it and nerfed them into the ground and made them cost more than equivalent Imperial Knights, and they didn't have all of the strategy shenanigans that the Knights have to make them worth that cost. Although in the last round of Chapter Approved, GW fixed some of it. They're more reasonably priced now, but it's still something that I brought just because I haven't really run him in a while.
Yeah, it's interesting how, I don't know, maybe we just don't notice it, but whenever game companies try and get after like fixing what they see as a problem in the game, which it may or may not be, but usually they go overboard and then have to like bring it back. Like I know, we play X-Wing, and they do that in X-Wing all the time. Like there's certain things whenever they switch from 1.0 to 2.0 that were just nerfed out of existence, and like irreparably nerfed in some cases, I think. But yeah, so that's, but at the same time, it's like sometimes you got to do something whenever something's just broken.
Mm-hmm. And then I have my big Shining Spear unit. Go with them next. And those are one of those units that have looked cool, but until 8th edition came out, just weren't that good. And, I guess GW decided they hadn't really sold many of them because they made them crazy good this edition.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, it was definitely hard. I think that was one of the kickers. It's like, okay, I felt like I had the tools in this list, and I completely boggled it, but I have the tools to deal with your Wraith Knight and maybe deal with your Crimson Hunters, deal with everything. But, man, those things, it's the combination of how well they can shoot and how well they can, hit in close combat. But all of that gets tied on with a nice little bow with how fast they can move, and they just go wherever they want and reach out and just get right up in someone's face. And you could almost just do that at your own mercy, Pretty effective.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen lists with multiple Farseers or a Farseer and 2 or 3 Warlocks that can really make them crazy.
Oh yeah.
I didn't go quite that bad with them. Just 1 Farseer, 1 Warlock, and the Autarch that I usually take.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, Andrew.
The Wave Serpent next to it, just an awesome APC. There's 5 Dark Reapers and 5 Dire Avengers in it.
And then and I'm pretty new to Eldar. I haven't played with them, and I haven't looked into them very much. So the Dark Reapers, that was kind of your Devastator, your long range option, right?
Yep.
And then your Dire Avengers, is that kind of like a base infantry type of option, or what is that like?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like the closest thing to a tactical squad that Eldar have.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I know that with my inexperience with Eldar, I did not know really which way to go, I knew okay, big scary Wraith Knight because it's big and scary and big, but I was actually surprised with how easily I ended up killing the Wave Serpent. Granted, that was with Thunderhammers and stuff, but it ended up drawing, effort from me where I could have, put it elsewhere. But again, I killed it pretty much right off the bat, so I don't think I really got to see exactly, what it's really good for. But just the fact that I ended up diverting all of my Thunder Wolf Cavalry over there, try and deal with that, and I just saw tank and went for it. But yeah, I could have used some of those Thunderhammers elsewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the way that one's equipped, it's not really meant to go out and kill. It'll plink a wound or 2 off units here and there.
Yeah,
but it's really meant to keep the stuff inside of it alive. And if that stuff gets out, what we'll see in a little bit, it literally sits in between, the Dark Reapers that I want to keep alive and the scary things that are coming right at them to hit them over the head with a Thunder Hammer.
Right. Yeah, no, it definitely seemed scarier than isn't it really hard to hit? It has some pretty awesome survivability.
Yeah, it does. It's got an energy field that reduces the damage of any ranged attack by 1 down to a minimum of 1.
Wow.
And then there are upgrades that if I advance, there's one upgrade I can put on it that if you advance with it, you take an additional -1 to hit when shooting at it.
Yeah, and that damage negation, that's actually pretty big, I think, right now because of the amount of damage to weapons that are in the game. Trying to deal with the whole 2-wound Primaris phenomenon going on. But I feel like that kind of comes into play because that people would spend money and spend points on getting those 2 damage. But then if that's if you're just negating that, then I'm sure in a lot of cases it could just be the same as taking a bolt gun,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Imperial Knights with the rapid fire battle cannons or Guards Russes with standard battle cannons absolutely hate Wave Serpents.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple sniper teams hidden around the map there to hold objectives. That's one of them. There's the other one.
Yeah, over on the left. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
And they're just there to plink.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, my HQs are all on bikes, just for the mobility and the extra toughness.
Yeah. So we've got. So this is your Warlord, right?
Yep, that's the Warlord.
And what is that? An Exarch or what is it called?
That's an Autarch.
Autarch. Okay.
And she's got the same laser lance that the Shining Spears have.
Mm.
She's got a relic that makes any attack directed at her an additional -1 to hit. And then the bike has a couple of catapults on it. And then her special thing is, in this edition, it's like the Marine captain thing. Like anyone within 6 inches rerolls hit rolls of 1.
Yeah. So you said the hit roll, like for things that are targeting her, is that for just shooting, or is that shooting and close combat?
Shooting and close combat, as long as it's directed specifically at her.
Oh wow, okay, cool. That's pretty cool. And what are these guys down here?
All right, one of them, and I think the top one is the Warlock.
Okay.
He's like a minor psyker, but he has the Protect Jinx psychic power.
Mm-hmm.
So he either picks one of my units within 18, and that unit increases all of its saves by 1, or it picks one of your units within 18 and decreases its saves by 1. And that's both armor and in-roll saves that are affected.
Okay. Yeah, you use that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the main thing that keeps the Shining Spears alive.
Yeah.
And then the Farseer is the big psyker, and he's got, I think the 2 best Eldar psychic powers are Doom, which I cast on one of your units, and any attack directed against that unit rerolls failed wound rolls.
Yeah.
And then Fortune, which is on one of my units and gives that unit a 5-up feel no pain until my next psychic phase.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I know that with this, just playing it, the really big thing was just mobility, You could just go wherever you wanted. I mean, and you having those characters on bikes too is huge, because I know I think a couple times you were able to just speed off with one of them to go take an objective, or go handle some situation or whatever. And just what is it? It's 14 inches movement?
16.
16 inch. Oh my goodness, dude, that is just crazy. You could
well,
you can go.
And on top of that, they're whenever they advance, like any of the bikes advance, it's an automatic 6 instead of rolling.
Oh, go. All right, cool. Yeah, so Space Wolves over here. This is, built with Saga of the Beast in mind. So I've got 3 Grey Hunter squads with plasma gun. Was one here, and then one over here. The idea behind them, and I've kind of changed it up since this game, but they're there to have enough bodies as a 10-man squad to stay around for a couple turns if they get targeted, hopefully. And then, just mainly it's for screening. It's for screening for the characters, like Murderfang, mainly Murderfang in this case. I really want to protect Murderfang here, keep you from targeting him. And then some other characters, I've got Herald Deathwolf and whatnot. But the kind of this is Horde-ish, right? I've got the 30 Grey Hunters out there, and then I've got 14. There's either 14 or 13 in this game, Fenrisian Wolves, and then 2 units of 3 Thunderwolf Cavalry here and here, which those are, they're really good to go out and hit things to death really fast. And off the table, I have 7 Terminators, Null Stormcaller, and I've got 5 Wolfguard with Thunderhammer Storm Shield and on jump packs, and then my Warlord, which is a Rune Priest with like the Runic Axe, and I gave him the Saga of the Hunter so that he can charge and advance, or advance and then charge in the same turn. And then if he gets a charge off successfully, that turns into a 6-inch aura, which could end up being a pretty big deal. And then 2 wolf boots with jump packs, and then they've got they have access to litanies now. So I gave the Canticles of Hate to one of them. That's adds 2 inches to your roll if you get it off on a 3-up. And then Tales of the Wolf King Under the Mountain or some. It's a really long name, but it's the new Space Wolves litany, and it's actually pretty legit. It adds 1 to the damage characteristic when you're targeting a monster or vehicle, and you select a unit within 6 inches, and then it adds 1 to their attacks, to their damage. And I completely messed up how I move them around and utilize them, but that's my list. And again, here, not really sure with Eldar. I've heard a lot of rumors about Eldar, but this is my first time playing against Eldar, and I kept a lot of my stuff off of the table just because I was just worried about them getting shot, especially the what I call the jumpy boys, the 5 wolf guard jump packs, storm shields, and thunderhammers. Yeah, they got storm shields, but they're still just 1 wound models that can get targeted because they're not characters or anything. So normally those can end up dying really, really fast. But then it's really difficult to use them. But when they get off, then they can really start mowing things down if you can get them into contact. But if not, then they just die really, really fast. This whole idea behind this list is just to deliver my punchy things like Murder Fang and hopefully the Thunderwolf Cavalry and whatnot into the enemy's face and kill stuff. All right, so we had turn 1. So Space Wolves went first, and they just moved forward, and they were literally out of range for everything. So they just moved forward, and that's it. And then we've got your movement here. Kind of what are you thinking about with your placement of your units here?
Well, I was thinking a couple of things. I had a couple objectives that I was trying to get right off the bat. And then those Thunderwolf Cav, I've played against them enough, and I haven't played too much against them in 8th, but I played enough in 7th that I know how dangerous they are.
Yeah.
So I wanted them to not be on the board anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a really good mix between, because usually in 40k you're either trading power for volume or volume for power, right? But with Thunderwolf, you kind of get the best of both worlds, because you get if you give them Thunderhammers, and you've got the power. They have a lot of attacks with the Thunderhammer's base, and then they get extra strength 5 attacks with their wolves. So if you can get them all in, and you get a unit of up to 6, you can end up getting, like I said, the best of both worlds. And they actually got some stratagem support with the Crushing Teeth and Claws, with the Saga of the Beast, that can actually really make them hit very hard. Did you have any idea? Like I said, I completely messed it up, but were you worried about like Murder Fang at all?
I knew he was nasty, but I thought he was far enough away that I wasn't super worried about him yet at this point.
Right. Yeah, so definitely. So my main thought was I want to send Murder Fang in to kill the Wraith Knight with using the new stratagem, Touch of the Wild, which it's 1 CP, and you spend it, and then every to hit roll of 4 up, those now count as 2 hits. And so that could just, I think Murder Fang comes in with 7 hits. So you can just imagine that he's let's see. Yeah, so he comes in with 7 hits, so you're probably going to get a good number of double hits out of that. And then he also, with his Murder Fang claws, he gets to re-roll wounds flat out, and so it can get pretty nasty pretty quick with that. So that's you moved him up forward. I was kind of worried that you're just gonna leave him back, but yeah, you moved him there, and I was like, okay, I think I can get there. I think I can do this.
Yeah, I didn't quite realize how nasty he was. Used to playing, James's Iron Hands, and he uses a lot of dreadnoughts, but his dreadnoughts are individually not quite that scary.
Yeah. Well, the beautiful thing about Murderfang, and then another Space Wolf Dreadnought, Bjorn, is that they're characters, right? So that, with Bjorn, for instance, you could give him like a las cannon, or you could give him some range option, and he can just sit back in a nice, comfy screen bubble of, you know, chaff units, and just start plugging away at stuff, and he can hit everything because he's hitting on a 2-up, right, and then re-rolling ones, and because he gives himself that rule, right, and then Murderfang as well. Like, if you can manage to get him into the enemy, then yeah, he can just start mowing through stuff. Especially with, like I said, the new stratagem support and the new litany. So yeah, he could definitely be big. All right, so Space Wolf's turn 2. As you can see, there's some charging going on. So I dropped in my Wolf Priest with Canticles of Hate over here, and so he got giving him all 2 up to their. Here's the Wolf Priest right there. Giving them all 2 up to their charge, or not 2 up, excuse me, adding 2 inches to their charge range, which was huge, and getting Murderfang from like over here all the way, you know, into combat there. And then Murderfang also, he can reroll charge rolls as well, because he's a little bit crazy in the head, so that's good. So I'm feeling good, right? Because I'm thinking, all right, Murderfang can probably pop this thing. Let's see it happen. And then over here, I've got all the charges off, basically, with my Thunderwolf Cavalry and the Fenrisian Wolves. At least one unit of my Thunderwolf Cavalry, if I remember correctly. No, I think you killed the other one, right?
Yeah, I think I killed both of them. No, I killed one.
Yeah, the other one, yeah, you killed one with your Crimson Hunters, and then the other one is about to kill your Wave Serpent.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm feeling good. What I should have done, all right, I did several things wrong in this turn right here. And all right, so I should have put I really wanted to kill this Wave Serpent, because I thought it was much scarier than it actually was at killing things. And so I put the Wolf Priest with the Tales of the Wolf King litany, or whatnot, whatever it's called, into over here, so he could bless the Thunderwolf Cavalry and give them the +1 to their damage off the Thunderhammers into the Wave Serpent, and which happened, and they, you know, happily killed the Wave Serpent thoroughly. You know, what I should have done is I should have put both the Wolf Priests over here. I should have known that. Well, I should have just, you know, figured that all the Thunderwolves and stuff over here, and then all the Fenrisian Wolves, which, if you can get them in, can do a ton of actual hits, right? This is straight just volume. I should have been like, all right, cool, they should be fine. This is over here. This is my death bubble that I need to be worrying about, right? And I should have put them over here, and you know, did the whole Canticles of Hate thing like I did to get my guys in, which happened, and then do the Tales of the Wolf King under the mountain on Murderfang, because I ended up only taking 10 wounds out of this combat off of your Wraith Knight, and that could have been much worse. I could have popped him, all right, but that was sad. But where I really messed up, okay, and this is from playing other armies too much, was I selected my Grey Hunters to fight first. The reason I did this was because I my brain completely ignored counteroffensive, that it even existed. and I was thinking to fight with them first, because the Wraith Knight, you know, Murderfang is going to kill the Wraith Knight, so he's not going to be there. So if I don't activate with them, then I can't like pile in and consolidate and move them kind of further up, kind of get in your way over here, even though you've got jet bikes and stuff. And yeah, so I did that, and then you counteroffensived, and then you fought and killed Murderfang, and then I had to use my was it only in death to the end, spend 2 CPs to allow Murderfang to even fight in the game, which he still did 10 wounds on you. But if I had done it the other way, first of all, I could have easily ended up killing you with the combo of the Space Wolves Litany, and Touch of the Wild CP, or stratagem, which we discussed earlier. Those things can combo really, really, really nicely with Murderfang. So I could have ended up doing that, but even if I didn't, then I could have only in-depth to the end after I already fought, right? So yeah, it might have been a safe bet that you're gonna take out Murderfang in this round, but I could have definitely taken your Wraith Knight off the table, which is what I really needed to do. I was already up against already up against the ropes from the start of this game, I think, just with the list that I brought. And I really needed that to happen. So I screwed up so many ways, like 8 ways to Tuesday here, you know. Yeah, no, I mean, they over here totally murked this side of your flank over here. Thing is that you had those Crimson Hunters just go around and kind of mitigate that from happening, from really affecting the rest of your army, because killed the Wave Serpent. Only 4 of my Fenrisian Wolves took out the rest of your snipers over there. And then I had enough around without considering the Crimson Hunters. I had enough around to kind of work my way, you know, along this side, at least for a little bit, right? But you just able to kind of fly around and just start murking things with your Crimson Hunters was pretty effective.
Oh yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to Murderfang, I think Fate really didn't want you to do anything with him, because you still did like 9 wounds to the Wraith Knight.
Yeah.
And then he made like 5 or 6 saves. It was something crazy.
Yeah. But no, I totally needed to take down this Wraith Knight, and I did not. And a large part of that was totally, actually, I think it was completely because I just completely just went dumb there.
I was a little surprised you didn't consolidate your Grey Hunters into the Shining Spears. I know you were probably a little nervous about what they did in combat.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
I was.
Yeah, I mean, their lance is nasty. It's like -4 AP, 2 damage, but it's only strength 3.
Okay.
So, but it's only strength 3, but they do have a lot of attacks. So they have 2 attacks each, and the Exarch has 3.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they would have killed all of the Grey Hunters, but they would have taken out a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, that was one of those moments. Like I don't know. I've played this game enough, or I've played other games enough to know whenever I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And I'd never played against, you know, like Eldar, like I've said before. But then, yeah, I was just worried, you know, and I didn't want to like pile them in because I didn't declare them in the charge because I was scared for Overwatch, I think. So I didn't want
rightly so.
Yeah, and yeah, I was just worried I was just going to lose the Grey Hunter squad needlessly from your fighting back, which I guess, you know, could have happened, you know, but so if I had done that, what do you think would have happened?
I don't think I would have killed all the Grey Hunters. I would have killed probably at least 4 or 5 of them. And then there's a 2 command point stratagem that lets me fall back from combat and shoot and charge normally. I would have used that and gone after something else. Right.
Yeah, Murderfang if you survived, but likely the Wolf Priest or something. Yeah, you know, and again, it's for those newer players, you know, it's very easy to kind of get lost in the sheer amount of, I don't know, the sheer amount of information that's out there in this game, and which is one of the reasons I love this game, because you really have to develop kind of your critical thinking to be able to kind of take all this stuff in, this new information, like me never playing Eldar before, take this new information in and then like make a good tactical decision off of it, right? And that's why I love this game, but this is a clear example of how I just failed to do that, you know, like to break it down. You got in my head, you know what I mean? Your big giant Wraith Knight, your dudes that can I was already impressed with them because they moved 16 inches, you know? It's like, wait, what? Oh my gosh. Oh no. You know, and I'm already like losing the game basically in my head because I was already freaking out a little bit about that. So, you know, just goes to show like most of the time it's not as bad as you think it is. Most of the time it'll be okay. Like sometimes, yeah, you're just gonna get hammered and there's nothing you could do about it. But most of the time, by the time that you end up getting into the, you know, the wound roll or the armor saves or whatnot, like you're not gonna lose everything, you know. And then in this case, even if I did do that, and you might be worried about morale, I had a wolf priest over there, so I didn't have to worry about morale really. So yeah, you know, good point, but yeah, it's very easy to get carried away. So don't do that. Just if you feel yourself getting to that point, new players, stop, take a breath, kind of reanalyze the situation, and you know, go forward from there. Yeah, and then we mentioned it over there on the other when we were at the Wraith Knight and Murderfang showdown. This is where you kind of the breakthrough happened, crushed the Wave Serpent, then killed his snipers, and then, you know, had a bunch of Fenrisian wolves over here. Feeling pretty good about this, but yeah, you totally, like I mentioned before, you totally handled it. I will say this was a pretty good use of like using pile-in and consolidation to kind of get your stuff forward. In this case, and then over here you'll notice I did intentionally go and consolidate into your Dire Avengers there to force you to either attack or to, you know, fall back. And I think you struck back and you got 2 Fenrisian wolves. So
yeah, I think so.
Feeling all right with that. I think what got me with the Fenrisian wolves in the next turn was the morale, because I did not. There's another thing I screwed up over here is I screwed up my my auras and everything. So you'll notice, oh look over here, Herald Deathwolf and the Wolf Priest. That is definitely not within 6 inches of all these guys. And yeah, so Herald Deathwolf, he buffs the morale for the Fenrisian wolves like a lot. You can use his morale, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Whereas otherwise, the Fenrisian wolf's morale is absolute garbage. So
I don't think it was the morale that got him. I think the Wraith Knight just walked over and shot them a lot.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
I want to say that I did. I think I lost a couple, but either way, no, yeah, the Wraith Knight walked over and finished him off. That is definitely for sure. But I do remember thinking as I was like getting all these charges and pile-ins and consolidations, like, all right, cool. You're getting all this extra movement from the assault phase, right? Getting all these guys over here and blah blah blah. But remember, like, these guys didn't have room to make the charge in here because of this like tight little, you know, terrain feature, little gap here, right? And so because of that, I lost out on. Not only did I lose out on a lot of aura-ness, but you were able to target my, I think it was my Herald Deathwolf, right? With your Crimson Hunters after that, and took a couple wounds off of him.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so movement, you get a lot of extra movement if you do your assault phase right, but you could also screw yourself over by, you know, getting yourself out of those auras, out of your little bubbles of your bubbles of synergy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then unit type and terrain interactions is important to know.
Yeah.
Because, like, those ruins, infantry can just go through them wherever they want. But beasts, which the Thunder Wolves and the Fenrisian Wolves are beasts, not infantry, so they actually have to go around them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that totally came into play here as far as getting things in to be able to fight. And not only that, but like clearing room here for these other guys to make a charge, maybe, you know. At least my Wolf Priest, because he's got a jump pack, you know, because he could fly over stuff, but there was just literally no room here. Whereas if I could have just gone through this wall right here, that could have, you know, opened up at least enough room for the Wolf Priest to get in here, right? Yeah, good point. All right, let's go find our next adventure. All right. See if I can't. So frustrating. All right, well. All right, so we'll just have to break it up into find another shot of the other side.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is going into Eldar turn 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, yeah, and I kind of didn't mention them earlier, but dropped in my Null, Stormcaller, and Terminators, and they were entirely disappointing. It's kind of what were you thinking about here?
Well, I was thinking that I know Terminators aren't the best this edition, but if they actually make a charge, they can do a lot of damage. So I thought I'd better contain them before that happened.
Yeah.
And I knew, if they'd gotten the charge off of my Shining Spears, not that they should ever be able to catch them. But if they did, it would be really bad for the Shining Spears, so it's better if the Shining Spears charge them.
Right. Yeah, and I think because of your screening, I was hoping to get them closer, but because just how everything was positioned, that was as close as I could get. I was hoping to get them closer to kind of, the rest of my forces over here. There's a pretty big gap, which again, we're talking about with your jet bikes, you can cover, with ease. When I'm out here slogging it on foot. That's a different story for me, right? Yeah, and my thought there, drop them in and hopefully pick up more than I did. I think what I did, like maybe 2 wounds to your Shining Spears from shooting. I was hoping to do a little bit better than that, but at the same time, you're not really worried about losing a lot of Shining Spears in that situation anyways, right?
No, not to shooting like that when they have Protect on them.
Yeah, that's another good point that you had Protect. Yeah, you're using Protect a lot and very well in this game. Yeah, I was really hoping, again, like I said, I really needed Murderfang to, at best, survive, right? At worst, take out the Wraith Knight. But if you could have survived, even just with 1 wound, right, then now you're talking about, oh my gosh, now you're torn, right? Between Murderfang and between these guys over here, these Terminators, which pack a punch, and then Murderfang, if he gets to fight first, he still packs a really big punch, right? And then, not to mention, if I could tie you up and get my Grey Hunters in, they all have chainswords, so that's just a lot of attacks, no matter what you're looking at there. But what's the toughness generally of Eldar? Is it toughness 3?
Yeah, toughness 3 for the most part, so toughness 4 for the ones on bikes.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay, so that wouldn't have really come into play there that much. I was thinking, just sheer amount of attacks from the Grey Hunters at, strength 4 to toughness 3. But, yeah, but, like I said, just going back to this is where the game really went downhill. If I would have gotten what I wanted from this situation, I wouldn't have won the game. The game wouldn't have been over for me. But this happening, the game was over for me after this happening, So, and it's a kind of another like tactic point. If you have just even a 1 wound model, like a 1 wound Murderfang in this instance, even if he's just around to live into another turn, that is one more consideration that your enemy has to take into consideration, right? That's have to divert resources from something else. But you being able to like take out Murderfang and then go over here, take care of the Terminators, right? It really is a good case in point of not spreading damage around your opponent's army and handling one thing of it at a time, right? Which is always a great strategy, right? Kill the things you can kill in this turn, and then worry about everything else later, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's almost better to overkill than it is to like do a few wounds to the Grey Hunters and a few wounds to Murderfang and a few wounds to the Terminators. Just pick one unit and make it not be there anymore.
Yeah, and it is easy to fall into the trap of like, well, I'm reducing their combat power, right? Like they have less models to shoot with, less models to fight with. Sure, but that's still a model out there running around. And then especially in a mission like this where you're fighting over objectives, that's one more model or one more, slightly reduced unit that can still go and secure objectives and score victory points, right? And that could be the tie of the game, So that could be huge, yeah. So definitely, like, kill the things you can kill. All right, so then we've got the other side of the battlefield over here. Wraith Knight, he's just doing his thing. Well, you got 14 wounds left. That's 24 wound model, right?
Yep.
Yeah. 14 wounds left, and didn't you kill I think you killed the rest of the Thunderwolf Cavalry in this turn.
Yes, I think I did.
Yeah, with your Crimson Hunters. And then, yeah, you got, I think, a couple of wounds or something off the Herald Deathwolf over here because I left him so exposed. Yeah, I mean, so me at this point, I lost Murderfang, I lost my Thunderwolf Cavalry, all of them, right? Even though Herald Deathwolf is on a Thunderwolf and all that jazz, looks all cool, he doesn't have a Thunderhammer. He doesn't have a Strength 8 weapon to go against the Strength or the Toughness 8 that is the Wraith Knight. And then my only other option is my Jumpy Boys, my Wolf Guard with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields, and Jump Packs that are in reserve. I haven't brought them in yet, but I'm losing this game so hardcore just from positioning alone at this point that even like wherever I put them, you have an answer. So it's you being able to wipe those Thunderwolf Cavalry with those Crimson Hunters like you did was just brutal for my game for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's just what Crimson Hunters do. That's what they've done since they first came out in 6th edition. It's just until this edition, nobody really paid attention or realized what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, and you kind of had me in a catch-22 in that you were bringing 3 flyers, right? And I wasn't dumb enough to just assume that they're just gonna, fly around and plink at things and not be that bad. Like I knew that they were a threat, and especially since you brought 3 of them, like that tells me that you wanted to invest the points into getting those, right? But I also knew, that you had some pretty good shooting capability. So if I had my main answer in my mind at the beginning of the game was like, all right, those Wolf Guard with Jump Packs. But if I drop them in or if I deploy them on the table at first, then they're probably just going to get shut off the map, right? So really had me in a catch-22, and yeah, it just didn't. I really didn't have an answer to those Crimson Hunters.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I think that was a tactical mistake you made in not bringing them in on turn 2. Because if you dropped both them and the Terminators, and especially with the Terminators in the backfield, you put them in position to threaten one of the Crimson Hunters, I would have had to make a choice.
Yeah.
Whereas since you held off on the Jumpy Boys until the turn after this, I could focus on one at a time.
Yeah, and I honestly, I just did not have an appreciation for the damage output that they have, and I should have at this point because you killed the other Thunderwolf Cavalry unit, right? I should have known, but yeah, no, you're totally right. I piecemealed my army to you. That's for sure. With doing the Terminators and then everyone else. Well, I did the Terminators and the Wolf Priests, right? But then doing the Rune Priests and the Jumpy Boys after that, yeah, it would have been. You would have had much more to think about, And then, all right, let's say you get scared and you shoot. You still end up shooting my Jumpy Boys off the table with your Crimson Hunters, but then my Thunderwolf Cavalry would still be around maybe, and then they could totally go in and kill that Wraith Knight, if they got the chance, And again, this is kind of all hypothetical since you haven't, assaulted or anything with your army yet. You could assault in with your Wraith Knight and kill him before. But nevertheless, again, piecemealing like I did, it really allowed you to focus down on specific parts of my army versus giving you lots of things to think about, lots of things to get scared about,
Mm-hmm.
All right, so turn 3, going to Space Wolves turn 3. I was debating calling it. I just wanted to... My only hope in this game was for my jumpy boys that the smoke is in the way, but I dropped them right here, all 5 of my Wolf Guard, and got Mechanicals of Hate off with my Wolf Priest over here, get them in, and then just start, kill this Crimson Hunter, and then maybe consolidate into the other Crimson Hunter, and just at the very least throw him off what he's doing right now, right? And failed my charge rolls, just I think all of them, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was it's pretty upsetting, and that was my only hope. That was my only hope. I would even think that it would have won me the game. I just wanted to do something, just some sort of vengeance, Yeah, and then charge my charge Herald Deathwolf in over here. He's going up against toughness 8 with a strength 6 weapon, so there's really only so much that he could have done, Yeah, okay, and then so then also too, it's kind of off screen, but over here where the Terminators and the Shining Spears are, well, I misspoke. The Terminators are no longer there because the Terminators and Null Stormcaller are all dead from the Shining Spears. And so yeah, I've got this horde of really fast moving death machines, and they're about to come over here. And yeah, so basically I didn't get the charges. I was already feeling bad about the game, but at that point I'm like, yep, no, this is not cool. And then Andrew, you ended up bringing your Shining Spears like right here, and then just from shooting killed my all 5 of my Wolf Guard, which totally bound to happen. Even though they have Storm Shields, like they only have 1 wound, they can die really easily. And at that point, totally called the game. Like it just wasn't worth going on. I had nothing, like you would have just probably tabled me in the next turn, So yeah, so I mean, what are you thinking about this? And like towards the end of the game, kind of, I mean, you're feeling pretty confident at this point, right?
Yeah, at this point, the Thunderwolves are dead. When you failed the charge, I was not particularly concerned about my ability to kill the Wolf Guard.
Yeah.
I mean, Storm Shields are great, but it's still a 3-up save on a 1 wound model, and when I'm throwing, 20-some dice at them, statistics are gonna even out.
Yeah, and you've got, what are they, like the Shuriken catapults over there? They're still really short range, right?
Yeah, they're only 12-inch range.
Yeah, but that's basically negated with just the sheer amount of movement that you get with those things.
Yeah, and I mean, the Shining Spears with those have 4 shots apiece.
Yeah.
7 of them is almost 30 shots, so yeah, that did it all by itself.
Yeah. Yeah, and my thoughts here were get the charge off and then use all that extra movement to hopefully get at least get the Jumpy Boys into contact with maybe your other Crimson Hunter over there, and at least force you to fall back with something before you shoot them to death, But yeah, no, at this point, there's just really... You had carved out the heart of my army quite effectively. Yeah, man. So, Andrew, you got any overall takeaways from this game?
It was much more close range than I thought it would originally be. I didn't know what list you were going to be bringing. Most of the time when I see Marines, like I said, I play my buddies Iron Hands, and they're a very long-range shooting army, so this is kind of the exact opposite of that. So I think like Space Wolves got a good buff, but they just seem like they're lacking something. Because I have another friend who plays Blood Angels. Like he would have had like 20 some Death Company with jump packs probably in my face on turn 1.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you that the Blood Angels versus Space Wolves comparison is like, yeah, the Space Wolves got left behind, and they totally got a lot of help with the Saga of the Beast. I will say that I screwed up so many things in this game, and that this was just not a very well optimized list. And I think, so I played Kyle with almost the same list, and with his orcs, and won. But I think it was melee to melee, right? So I was able to get like my the jumpy boys they did some work, you know. And this I wasn't even able to use them in this game, and some other aspects that kind of things like really came together successfully in that game, right? But coming into this, you know, it was just a really different take, a really different opponent, you know, with the Eldar here in your list going on, and it just wasn't optimized well. Like I've done some rethinking. I think I come up with a much better list. Yeah, as far as being on par with everything else that's really good out there, you know, the verdict is still out. There's no Ragnar Blackmane on here. I don't have any Primaris stuff on here right now, you know. So I'm sure or Wolfen, for instance. There's many ways that you could take the new Space Wolves, for sure. Yeah, man. So thanks for joining us, Andrew. We are hopefully you guys enjoyed this. It was kind of a lesson on what not to do on my part, for sure. But definitely some really, really valuable lessons from this game to be learnt. And yeah, any last words, Andrew?
Really, it's just practice and experience with the army.
Yeah,
kind of what it comes down to. I mean, I know you said you haven't played the Space Wolves very much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are just kind of all learning things that as you play them more, you'll get a better idea of what exactly they can and can't do, and then be able to adjust your tactics accordingly.
Yeah, totally. That is very true. You know, if you want to be good at 40K, like a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, it just comes down to getting the reps in, you know, playing. And you can sit there and theorize with your list all day and create new lists and do all this. Oh, what if I did this? But until you see it in action several times, you're not really going to know where you stand. Because like I said, like I went and won a game pretty handedly. It ended up being with this army against another, you know, completely different faction, and then come into this game and just get crushed, right? And it just takes time to get there, you know, like you said, to kind of learn your army and learn your faction, everything that it can and can't do. All right, so if you haven't seen the battle report, you know, go check it out, please, and find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, all the above. And thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.